Hey traders, Mike from CapitalHillFX. In this video, we're going to distinguish the difference between trading signals and trading setups. You see, most new traders step into the space and they love trading signals, just copying another profitable trader's trade orders and hoping to find profitability in the markets. This is a lost dream. You do not want to approach Forex by going off of trading signals. Instead, look at trading setups, which are just high probable trading ideas from a profitable trader, but you're able to layer your own decision making on top of that so you could progress within your journey. So really quickly, I'm going to go into the Discord server, and this is my completely free Discord server that provides free trading setups, free course, free live webinars, the whole nine. If you don't have access to this Discord server, what are you doing, right? To gain access, make sure to click the link in the description. So I'm just going to go to the trading setups channel. I'm going to scroll to the beginning of this week, which was, I believe, May 7th, because we're here on the 13th. Yep. So I'm just going to go to May 7th. And I'm just going to go through all the different trading setups that I called out for my free community members. And I'm going to give you a better idea of how you could capitalize and optimize on these actual trading setups. So we're going to start off with the Euro GBP, which was just basically a bounce off of a daily structure. And that's basically all I trade. It's just bounces off of daily structures in the market. I buy at support and I sell at resistance. We could see Euro GBP, we were floating into a significant daily structure. And then we could see on the hourly time frame, we had some type of indecision forming. So we're going to go to the daily time frame. I actually did place a buy off of this significant horizontal level. So we're going to see what triggered the entry, how I managed it in the whole nine. So we could see we began to form some indecision around the significant horizontal level. We tried to test the lows over and over again, failed to wipe out the lows. And then we could see that we had this nice bottom heavy wick with the position, the real buy near the top of the candle. This was a nice bullish hammer. I ended up placing a buy once we formed this bullish hammer. And then I placed a stop loss below the previous lows and my take profit at a 1 to 1.25. Super, super simple bounce off of a daily structure, right? We could see, I believe this was during the London session, so I was fast asleep. We could see we had a nice bullish impulsive move towards the upside, running towards the take profit. But we could see that there was something that, whether it was a structure or a pivot point, that drove price back towards the downside right around the entry. This is why I ended up exiting the trade, because although the market does move in two directions, impulse and corrective phases, a lot of times when we have corrective phases, it will take a while for price to come back, maybe towards the entry or maybe just the correct fully. And then we'll have that next impulsive move back towards the upside. We can see right here, we had this impulsive move towards the upside. Then we quickly had that bearish impulsive move back towards the downside. That's what sketched me out in believing that we're not really going to head back towards the upside. We're probably going to continue towards the downside, because if we look back on the hourly time frame, we are steadily creating lower highs and lower lows. So that's what sketched me out. I was like, you know what? Instead of trading a buy or a bounce off this significant structure, I'm just going to stay out of it. So I actually exited around break even, and good thing we did, because we would have hit stop out. So it's a good thing we mitigated risk, and we need to make sure when we are entering our positions that we're monitoring and we're just objective as hell, just looking at the candles, making sure that we're just executing off of the candle closures. So that was the order on Euro GBP. Let's look at another order. Sell setup on GBP USD. And we could see on the weekly time frame, we just had this significant structure in the market that has found indecision, right? Decision. And we could see that there's a lot of decision made around the significant horizontal level, super, super clear imbalance. And then we can see on the hourly time frame, we're beginning to dip into this zone. So we're going to go to GBP USD right here, daily time frame. Perfect. And we could see I did place a sell off of this significant horizontal level. And my premium members know that I did place a sell, and I actually messed up with this trade order, because it was a super clear weekly resistance level that price has interacted with in the past. And then we go down to the hourly time frame, and you'll see the horrible trade order that ended up playing out in the right direction that I anticipated, but we just had a liquidity spike that stopped us out, which is annoying, but it is what it is, right? So we could see that we had a nice distinctive push into the zone. We came back, tested the highs, and then we had a nice little push back towards the downside, barely hit take profit, and then we came back, stopped me out, and then it headed in the original direction. This stop out right here was due to CPI. So a lot of people know that I do not trade fundamental news. I just trade technical analysis, buying at support, selling at resistance. And usually whenever high impact news events like CPI, NFP, FOMC, or anything like that occur, I stay out of the markets. Well, I didn't know CPI was going on Wednesday afternoon, and that was my fault. Actually, this was Wednesday morning. So I did not check the economic calendar, unfortunately, and this was definitely a lesson learned. And we just had a liquidity spike just enough to stop me out and then head in the original direction that I anticipated. So, I mean, it sort of stinks when things like this happen, but as a trader, when you're trading support and resistance and you're using stop losses, this is just what's going to happen. It's the name of the game, right? It's just about being able to take that lesson and leverage it in future data. And I definitely got a lesson from this one. It's make sure you're checking the economic calendar before you're staying in positions or executing positions. So, but what ended up happening, right? Just we bounced bounced at a weekly resistance level. And all of you could have capitalized on this exact setup that I called out in the exact free trading setups, right? Super simple bounce off a weekly resistance level. Let's look at NZD-CHF, which is the buy order or a buy setup of a significant daily structure in the market. Let's take a look. NZD-CHF, perfect. And if you couldn't tell, I've conveniently clustered all these currency pairs next to each other. So we can see that we are currently coming to this significant support zone on NZD-CHF. We can see we tried to test this zone as resistance. We failed, we broke through it, and now it looks like we could potentially be testing it as the opposite structure to look for upside movement. So obviously I like to identify smaller structured zones within the larger zone. So it looks like we are testing this smaller structured zone right now. We're going to go down to the hourly time frame. We can see that we are gaining a lot of indecision in the markets, which is basically just saying we've paused at this zone, right? We've bounced, and it looks like we're forming candles that are bottom heavy in the position the real buy near the top of the candle. What I'm going to be waiting for is I'm going to be waiting for more bullish candle closures. I'm going to be waiting for more bullish price action, more bottom heavy wicks, more of the position of the real buy near the top of the candle. That's what I want to see around the significant horizontal level, and that'll be looking for potential upside movement on NZD-CHF. Let's look at some other trading setups that I called. AUD-NZD, this was way back, I think it was last week. We could see we had a significant daily structure in the market. That price ended up bouncing at. We're not going to look at that. Euro-NZD, this was a beautiful bounce of a significant daily structure in the market. We see daily time frame. We have a rather clear zone that price is wicked around and has been treated as support and resistance. I was just anticipating after this strong melt towards the downside that we were going to end up bouncing at this zone. Let's go into Euro-NZD. So I ended up cashing out on Euro-NZD. Let's go to the daily time frame. So this was the zone that I just showed you. And again, just to make sure that we have all this time stamped. This was May 9th. Yes, May 9th at 7:40 a.m. So I just want to make sure that I'm not like cheating or I'm not scamming you guys. I called this live time with all of my free members. We can see that we have a super clear daily structure in the market. And then if we go down to the hourly time frame, we'll be able to see some interesting price action. So we can see we're continuously trying to wipe out these lows. And I called this out with my premium members. We're continuously trying to wipe out these lows over and over and over again. And what are we getting? Bottom heavy wicks in the position of the real buy near the top of the candle. Over and over and over again. This is just giving you a good idea that we're failing continuously around these lows. If we're failing lows over and over again around significant daily support zone, it's likely that we're going to end up bouncing there, right? So I ended up placing the order right after this candle closure, and you can't see, but I got a pretty bad execution or a bad fill because the spreads were crazy and price just started skyrocketing towards the upside. Anyway, we smashed take profit on Euro-NZD, and look at the upside movement that happened, or that played out off of this significant horizontal level. Over like near 300 pips of upside movement on Euro-NZD off of that daily zone. And what did we do? We bought at support. That's it. This next resistance level looks pretty intriguing. I may be looking to sell around the significant resistance level if we form some bearish price action. So super simple trading setup that I provided on Euro-NZD. Now we're going to look at AUD-CHF. AUD-CHF. Daily time frame, we can see we have a super clear daily structure in the market. Prices interacted with this zone in the past. We can see that we have a lot of decision around the significant horizontal level, treated as support and resistance. We're going to go down to the hourly time frame and sort of see the price action that was playing out around this significant horizontal level. So very interesting price action we could see. We had a distinctive push into the zone, put it in a high. We came back and tested the high with this huge, I want to call this a liquidity spike, a very strong candle. Must have had some economic news going on around these two different candles. We can see we came back, tested the highs, and then we pushed back towards the downside. We barely came back to creep back towards the highs before continuing back towards the downside. I wouldn't have been able to catch an entry here because for those of you that know how I trade, which is most likely my premium members, I like to wait for price to come back towards the highs before looking for downside movement. And we can see we did not creep back towards the highs, but we did form a lot of top heavy wicks when coming back into the bottom half of this zone. And then we sort of pushed back towards the downside. But if we go back to the daily time frame, what was it? A bounce off of a resistance level. That's literally it. Just buy a support, sell at resistance. That's all it is. Super simple sell around a significant daily resistance level. That's all it was. A lot of indecision printing around the significant horizontal level. And that's it. Let's look at GBP Canadian dollar. Again, I'm literally just calling these literally as I go. So GBP Canadian dollar. Daily time frame. I'm still going to be waiting for a full retracement back to the significant horizontal level. If we go back to the weekly time frame, on some of these you may have to go back to the weekly time frame. We can see we have a super clear weekly daily zone printed in the market. On the daily time frame, I'm still going to be waiting for a nice little retracement back to the significant horizontal level, probably a little bit deeper into this zone before looking for upside movement, because it looks like price is sort of indecisive right now. If we go down to the hourly time frame, it's probably ranging. So price probably has to be like driven towards the downside, wipe out these lows before we're actually going to see that upside movement. So I'm going to wait a little bit longer. I'm going to be very patient and disciplined for the trading setup, which you all should be. Just waiting for a nice decisive move into that zone before looking for upside movement. Let's go back to the Discord server. Euro Canadian dollar. And what are all these? Bounces at daily horizontal levels. This is a very similar setup to Euro NZD, which is basically just a bounce at a significant structure. I outlined the support resistance level just because we've interacted with this zone as support and resistance in the past. So it's likely that we're going to interact again in the future. We're going to go down to the hourly time frame. Let's look at the price action that played out. We can see we put in a low once we tested the zone, came back and tested this low yet again and printed a nice bullish impulsive candle. This probably would have triggered the entry for me. The only reason I didn't enter this was because I was already in Euro NZD, and I don't like to expose too much risk on the same base currencies like Euro NZD, Euro CAD, Euro CHF, Euro. No. I pick one trading setup and I go balls deep into it. So I would have probably placed a stop loss below the previous lows, take profit, maybe at a 1 to 1, 2.5, whatever, 1 to 5, whatever it may be. This would be flown a nice profit. But what is it? A bounce off of a daily horizontal level. That's literally it. Do we have any more? Let's see. So this was a sell setup. So this was another sell setup that I called on Euro GBP, the first setup that I called of the week. We ended up breaking through that support zone. Then we just had a break and retest. So I was just saying, you know what? We have your typical break and retest on Euro GBP. I'll be waiting for a full test of the zone along with bearish price action before entering sells. Let's go to Euro GBP and see what ended up panning out. So we can see on the daily time frame, we have a super clear break and we're coming back to retest the zone. If we go to the hourly time frame, we could see that we had a distinctive push into the zone. We had a small little bearish bounce, and then price came back to test the highs with this top heavy wick. This would have triggered the entry right here. Unfortunately, I was asleep when this ended up panning out. Can't catch all of them, but I would have ended up placing the sell right here. Stop loss probably above the previous highs at a 20 pip stop loss. Take profit, you could do it at a 1 to 5. Or yeah, 1 to 5, a 1 to 1.5, 1 to 1.2. I mean, whatever is your risk to reward ratio, you could do. Experiment and optimize. This would have smashed take profit. Fortunately, you can't catch them all. Let's see if there's any others that I called. I mean, basically all the trading setups that I call nearly on a day-to-day, week-to-week, month-to-month basis, they're very high probable. But it's very important for you to capitalize on these trading setups by making your own trading decisions based on the setups that I call. So don't wait for my trading signals. Don't wait for my trade order. Don't try to mimic my terminal, right? Instead of doing that, just look at the high probable setups that I'm calling in the free Discord server and then say to yourself, wow, okay, I'm going to do my own due diligence. I'm going to make my own trading decisions, use my own indicators, use my own set of criteria to execute on that trading setup that he's called. That will allow you to sharpen your own decision making as a trader, because that's one of the most important things as a trader is sharpening your decision making. It's very important to be very decisive, and the only way you're going to be able to gain that decisiveness is doing it on your own, not being brain dead and just placing buy and sell whenever a profitable trader does, right? So it's very important that you sort of go off of these trading setups, use them as context for why you're placing orders in the market. I hope you gain some type of value and knowledge from this video, and make sure to stay tuned into that free community chat. I love you all, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Cheers.